Good morning, grade sixes. We are again looking at equivalent fractions this morning at exercise 79b. Now, there are examples on page 155 before you start the exercise on page 156. So don't forget to turn back and look at those examples before you start the exercise. Now, we need to write these as decimal fractions. 4/10 is easy to write as a decimal fraction because all we're doing is fitting it into our columns. And 4/10 goes into the tenths column, and we fill our unit space with a 0. So 4/10 is 0,4. 5/100 has to end in the hundredths column, so it will go into the hundredths column, and then we fill the other spaces with zeros. So 5/100 is 0,05. These are easy because their denominators are the same as the columns. So what happens if we get numbers like this, fractions like this, and we are asked to write them as decimals? None of these fractions have got tenths, hundredths as their denominators. So what are we going to do? Well, do you agree that if you multiply something by 1, it doesn't change? 5 times 1 is 5. 10 times 1 is 10. A half times 1 is a half. So what are we going to multiply the 2 by to make 10? We are going to multiply it by 5. And what do we multiply the bottom with? We multiply the top with. And do you agree that 5/5 is the same as 1? 2 times 5 is 10, and 1 times 5 is 5. So, a half is equivalent to 5/10. Now that we have a tenth at the bottom, we can put it in our decimal columns. So 5/10 is 0,5. So a half is equivalent to 0,5 because we changed a half to have a denominator of 10. Let's look at the next one. 1/5 as a decimal fraction. We need to have either 10 or 100 as the denominator. So what do we multiply 5 by to make 10? We multiply it by 2. And what we do to the bottom, we must do to the top. So we are multiplying 1/5 by 1 whole. 5 times 2 is 10. And 1 times 2 is 2. Now we can put it in a decimal column because it has 10 at the bottom. And 2 will go into the tenths column. So it will be 0,2. So 1/5 is equivalent to 0,2. Let's look at this one. There is no 25ths column. So what do we do to 25 to make it into 10 or 100? We can't make it into 10, but we can make it into 100 because 25 times by 4 is 100. And what we do to the bottom, we must do to the top. So we are multiplying 12/25 by 1, which doesn't change the value. 25 times 4 is 100. 12 times 4 is 48. Remember, hundredths, it has to end in the hundredths column. So our decimal for 12/25 will be 0,48. This is our tenths column. This is our hundredths column. It ends in the hundredths column because it is over 100. Now, on page 156, they have given you a fraction wall to help you. You may use the fraction wall for question 1, but for question 2, I would like you to use the method that I have shown you.